Welcome to graduation, a virtual graduation ceremony. Please remember to stay muted so that we'll unmute later, but for now, please stay muted so that we can do our best to conduct a virtual seminar, a virtual ceremony. Now remember, this is our second time of doing a virtual ceremony, so we might have an error or two along the way, so pardon us. We'll do the best we can. Thank you for being patient and for understanding why we need to do a virtual commencement. First, let's take the time to thank our families. Your families, your friends, your supporters, they are the reason you're here. And I know that it's hard to give a virtual round of applause, but whatever you do, take the time to send them an email, text them, whatever makes sense, and say, thank you for supporting. That's really important, that we acknowledge our spouses, especially our spouses, our children. I hope you've taken a grade card and put it on the fridge and let your children see the good grades you've earned along the way. That motivates them to go further with their education. Thank your parents and your friends. Most of all, I thank you. You've made it. You've come this far. It's not easy to go to college and graduate, and especially with the pandemic, that's caused another kind of a wrinkle that none of us expected, but you've done it. You are here today, and we're going to make sure you are graduated properly. We'd like to acknowledge military, active military, and our veterans. It's important that they know that we are appreciative of their service, and thank you for all that you've done to protect the country, but also to graduate today. Faculty, where would we be without our faculty? This group has a small group of faculty members, but they care for you. They have mentored and they've coached you and they've built your confidence, and I think we'll hear that today. A big round of applause to our faculty. Ameritech staff for preparing our virtual commencement. Wendy and Linda, Josh, Jim, Jana, and many others have spent hours putting this program together in a virtual way, which is new to us. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Chris Jones. Chris, you're on. If you've got your video, let's make sure you unmute and that we can see you. Are you here, Chris? Yes, there you are. And you've got, good. Thank you for being here. Let me introduce Chris. Chris lives in Salt Lake City with his wife, Natalie, and Natalie is awesome. She works for Ameritech and we love her. She's great. And they have 3 living children. Their son, Mitchell, passed away from heart failure in 2013. Prior to his son's passing, Chris started a Facebook page entitled Mitchell's Journey, which has since gained international attention as both a place for healing and insights on the often misunderstood world of grief and healing and what happens on the other side of medicine. Most notably, Mitchell's Journey has become a beacon of hope to many and an invitation to its readers to live a life of significance. When Chris is not doing his foundation work, he spends his time as a serial entrepreneur, building businesses and building people. We're grateful that you take time out today, Chris, to join us. And it's my pleasure to turn the time over to you, Chris.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. All right. And I want to make sure, yep, everything should be good to go. All right, can you see my screen? We're looking good?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Well, greetings, class of 2020. You know, I've spoken to a lot of institutions over the years, but what strikes me most about Ameritech is their leadership. And I'm not talking about the kind of leadership that just gets stuff done. Instead, I'm talking about the kind of deep leadership that's committed to getting things done right. Most notably, they want to get it done right with you. Your education, your life trajectory is chief among their missions. And that's very clear to me in looking and observing how they operate. So here you are at the close of another chapter in your life, standing on the edge, as it were, of a new adventure, each anxious to find your new place in the universe and make your mark in the world. And for this reason, I'm honored to spend a few minutes with you. I've had many opportunities to tell our story to graduating students like you. I've spoken to doctors and nurses, giants in the pharmaceutical industry, caregivers, concerned patients, and ordinary people just trying to sort their way through life. More than anything, they want to peer through the curtain and see what truly happens on the other side of medicine. And I think what strikes me most about their collective search, it's the search for empathy. That desire to know and understand, that is and always has been at the root of any invitation I've had to speak. And therein lies a message for you, that the message is empathy matters. So I hope that some of the few thoughts and experiences I share with you briefly tonight will give you something of value, something you can add to your own personal compass as you navigate an uncertain, but certainly promising future. I'm the father of 4 beautiful children with whom I love with all of my heart. And tonight, as was mentioned, we'll talk about my son Mitchell and his journey. I have never in my life met a sweeter, more gentle soul than this little child. Mitch was an explorer. To him, the world was one giant sandbox of discovery. At every corner, he was picking up leaves and rocks and twigs, inviting me to follow him as he explored each new horizon. And for him, the horizon of the unknown stretched to infinity and beyond. He wanted to see it and experience it all. And there was no one he loved more than his mother, who lovingly raised him with care and attention. Then one unsuspecting summer morning, my tiny son was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy at the tender age of 3. I took these photos moments after the diagnosis. Now, DMD is a catastrophic muscle wasting disease that's 100% fatal. You do not survive it. It never goes in remission, not ever. It's rapid, it's progressive, and there's only a short matter of time before it swallows its patients whole. And thus we enter the medical system unprepared and bewildered. This is the first thing I want you to know about what happens on the other side of medicine. You see, this day there were 2 diagnoses. The first was obvious. Our son was diagnosed with a terminal illness. The second, however, was less obvious. My wife and I should have been diagnosed with chronic anticipatory grief. You see, whenever there's a significant diagnosis, there's a domino effect that touches parents and caregivers in the most profound ways. You see, grief exacts a heavy toll and can be every bit as physical and psychological as it is emotional. At first, it seemed Mitch was almost engineered for this hardship. He was blessed with caring doctors at every corner. He endured every battery of tests with a smile. And the care and attention he received from his care providers made his experience both positive and assuring. You see, he could focus on being well because he was being treated well. From medical technicians to physical therapists to competent yet caring doctors, everything added up, everything counted. And despite our son's diagnosis, life had to continue. So we did our best to help our son learn how to be independent. And he did independence well. On the shoulders of loving family, he was able to see far past his limitations. His cup was always running over. As he grew older, his appetite for adventure and activity was insatiable. There wasn't a body of water he didn't want to jump into. You see, the weightlessness he felt in the water made him feel like a regular kid, even if only for a moment. And those moments mattered. Despite his appetite for life and adventure, Mitchell, of necessity, had to take the long road. Life for him became increasingly difficult, and each year his muscles became weaker and weaker. And despite our best efforts to keep him healthy, things changed. One day, in a routine exam, doctors discovered his heart was failing. His cardiologist began to educate us on the nature and severity of his heart failure. There was no playbook for Mitch. You see, very few boys at his age had suffered so significant a decline. And because the heart is a muscle too, it began to be affected much sooner than expected for kids with this disease. Mitch was given medicine in the hopes of slowing down the progression. And with each agonizing visit, the news never got better. In fact, it always got worse. The hallways seemed to get longer and longer with each visit. One day, after a particularly difficult day at the hospital, we took our son to the park. Mitch was just denied a heart transplant, and our hearts were heavy. At Mitchell's request, we sat at the edge of a skate park and watched athletes perform these tricks with skill and ease. It was here Mitchell began for the first time in his life to vocalize how much he wished he could be like regular kids. We felt after our son and our hearts broke. Yet that same evening, Mitchell's mother, my hero, took a difficult moment and made a beautiful memory. In fact, she helped Mitch play his very favorite game, which is run your brothers over with a wheelchair. It was during this time I began to write a letter to my family that described his condition as if Mitch were hanging by a pebble on the edge of an abyss, whose mouth was yawned and inching to devour our son. Then in January of 2013, Mitch went to the hospital to get an MRI. He was, like any child in such circumstances, nervous and curious. And it was here that we finally discovered the true velocity of his decline. His heart function, or ejection fraction, was operating at about 5%. Within less than a year of discovering his cardiomyopathy, his heart function went from dangerous to catastrophic. And just prior to entering this end-stage heart failure, we went to Park City for one of our long-held traditions of sleigh riding. And this is Mitchell's last outdoor activity in mortality. Later that evening, we took our family to eat, and Mitch threw up at the table at the restaurant. The next morning, his stomach hurt badly. He was throwing up again and again and again, each time more violently than the time before. Our sweet boy was suffering. So we rushed him to the hospital, thinking they would give him a pill and make everything okay. But everything was not okay. And upon checking his vitals, everything went from routine and rigorous in a hurry. He was rushed to the cardiac intensive care unit, and a medical team assembled immediately to figure out what was happening. I was never so inspired as to see these medical professionals of all kinds, so competent, yet so compassionate. Mitchell's new cardiologist reviewed our son's vitals, and we could tell the news was not good. Fighting back his own tears, we were told Mitchell only had days to live. In an instant, the world was alien, but the compassionate care of medical professionals made a difference. You see, they made an impossible situation just a little easier to bear by the way they helped us. We did our best to keep our spirits up, but that didn't stop his heart from failing. Our son became weaker by the hour, and any glimmer of hope began to fade away. The only medicine I knew to give my son was love, and I would have done anything to trade places with him. Mitchell's neurologist, who had diagnosed him at the age of 3, knowing he was about to die, came to visit him and let him know she cared. She didn't need to do that, but she did it anyway. You see, she had empathy, and it was so beautiful to see. Witness here in this image the nobility of compassionate medicine. We rushed Mitch home to live out the final days of his life in the comfort of all that was familiar to him. If ever I had a time to be frightened, this was it. All we knew were Band-Aids and Neosporin. We knew movie nights and macaroni and cheese, but suddenly we had to administer medicines that were way beyond our experience. We were fortunate to have an amazing hospice nurse who guided us through the process of dying. Her practice of compassionate care left a ripple effect that we feel to this day, and for that, we are profoundly grateful. At home, we tried not to focus on death, but instead what little life was left. We played board games and Uno. At his request, we had an early birthday party with his closest friends. The gift of love and family and friends and youth, that was all we had left to give our son. Soon, simple tasks became nearly impossible for him to accomplish, and he became more and more emotional. As each day passed, his strength did too. Mitch was a baby made of sand, and he was slipping through my fingers. Finally, on his 3rd week, everything took a sharp nosedive. His last Nerf gun war lasted only 2 minutes. Then his mother took him back up to his room, and Mitch never left his room alive. Just before Mitch seemed to doze off, he said, "I don't think I can survive." I'll never forget that tender moment when Natalie was kneeling at the side of his bed. We thought he was sleeping, but he could hear what was happening. And as she wept, he lifted his arm gently and placed it on her shoulder and said, "It's okay, Mom. Everything will be okay. Everything will be fine." This was our last family portrait before he passed. After this photo, he drifted off to sleep and didn't emerge much after that. Our son slipped away into oblivion. We were no longer counting the days, but instead the hours. Death was clawing at our doors, and we could feel its cold breath like a winter wind to our soul. Then the end came. His best friend came over to say goodbye. And then we had to say the hardest goodbye of our lives. Shortly after midnight, we discovered our son had passed. Our little boy was gone. And we were left to confront some of the hardest realities of all. You see, losing a child was not harder than I imagined. It was harder than I had the capacity to imagine, not even in my nightmares. Never in my life have I experienced a pain so great as losing my son. There are simply no words to describe it. Now, being human and standing on the other side of the practice of medicine, I'm persuaded that we do well when we not only treat the body, but we care for the soul. In conclusion, I want to speak with you as a business owner, a parent, a caregiver, and a member of the human race. There will be times in your career you will be left speechless. And sometimes we stumble trying to find the right words, but silence is almost never the answer. In the healthcare industry, or in any industry I've ever known, for that matter, the people we work with and the patients we serve need to know we're not only competent, but that we're caring. You see, we say more than we speak. In our tone, our body language, and how we show up as concerned humans, wherever you go and whatever you do, decide today to practice empathy. Your actions, how you show up, are more powerful than any words you might ever conjure up to say. When you practice healthcare or any other form of care, never forget to let them know you care. To me, that is the most beautiful form of medicine. As you embark on your life journey, you will most likely encounter things for which there is no playbook. There will be new diseases and other pandemics, economic downturns, and riddles humanity will scratch their heads to solve. But we must not shrink. You must not shrink. The future depends on you. And families like mine will need the very best of you to show up. What I've learned on Mitchell's journey is that it isn't really the load that breaks us, it's the way we carry it. And with a little help from caring professionals like you and the support of family and friends, we can help each other carry burdens in new ways. You can help others carry their burdens in ways that make it seem light. So as you go out into the world to find your jobs and begin to make your way through life, take the time and intention to make friends. Build bridges with colleagues. Life is already a difficult swim upstream, and it's far easier to swim with friends than to create and fight enemies we sometimes foolishly make. The intentional practice of empathy and compassion will serve every aspect of your life, and your life will be richer because of it. Lastly, how you show up as a person and a professional can leave ripples that will last a lifetime. In conclusion, let me share a short video that illustrates the human cost of disease and what happens on the other side of medicine.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse, and the tears come streaming down your face, when you lose something you can't replace, when you love someone but it goes to waste, could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. your bones, and I will try to fix you. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
My final words tonight are the words of my son, and may they be the words we all choose to live by. When you see with your heart, you see everything that matters. I honor you for your choice and profession and wish you the very best in the years to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. All of you are entering the healthcare profession. As you meet with patients, remember this video, remember Chris's talk. Be sensitive. It's hard to know what's going on in the other end, and you may not know, but be sensitive and be caring and listen to the parents and the other children. It's a great message. I wish we could end the ceremony there, because two things. One, you've picked a great profession, the healthcare profession, to help families that are in need of help. And two, I encourage you to remember to keep on learning, keep on growing. The world needs more healthcare professionals. It really does, especially people who know how to listen and who know how to be sensitive to the needs of families that you'll come in contact with. Chris, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, each of you were asked to tell us a little bit about why you chose your profession for different reasons. And so we'd like to hear a few of the reasons why you chose your profession. Jim, can you play that video, please?
I'm becoming a medical assistant because I want to make an impact in the world and make a difference.
I am becoming a medical assistant so I can help the community.
I'm becoming a medical assistant because I want to help our community, and also I like the medical field and I want to continue with my education.
I'm becoming a medical assistant because I wanted a better career and a well-paying job.
I'm becoming a medical assistant because I want to help patients that are coming into the doctor's office or clinic.
I'm becoming a medical assistant because I've always loved the thought of helping people, and becoming an MA allows you to do that in many different ways. And there's just so many options in the workplace to help in any area that is needed.
I became a medical assistant because I had a strong desire to help people, and scrubs are comfy. Scrubs are life.
I am becoming an MA because I want to have a hand in helping people and making a difference in their lives.
I'm becoming an MA because I love having a one-on-one relationship with other people, and on top of it, they're my patients who I get to care for, so it makes it even better.
I'm becoming an OTA because I applied on impulse during a crazy time, and it turned out to be a perfect fit for me.
I am becoming an occupational therapist assistant because I enjoy helping people in any way that I can.
It's amazing. So it's from early intervention to geriatrics and beyond. It's absolutely amazing being able to help individuals and to live a better life, to live a fuller life, but to actually to live life. I have such a passion for this. I can't even tell you.
For all the right reasons, you are graduating today, and remember, this day doesn't end your learning. It's lifelong learning, and make that commitment to continue. If you want to see all of the responses again and everybody's response, go to ameritech.edu/graduate, and you'll see the responses. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce Ben McBride, Program Director, Medical Assisting. Ben?
Good evening, my friends, graduates, medical assistants, family and friends. I'm not crying, you're crying. It is my pleasure to introduce our two student speakers tonight, Kara Brown and JC Gill. Kara Brown came to us from Canada, and we're sure glad that she did. She comes from a small community up there, and her passion has always been pediatrics. And lucky for her, that's where she gets to work. JC Gill also comes from a small community, and her desire to become a medical assistant came from wanting to help out her community and make a difference. And I turn the time over to Kara. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you can all hear me. Can you all hear me? Yes, okay. So first of all, school has never been easy for me. I have a really hard time learning the way other people learn. I have to learn hands-on and usually one-on-one with somebody so I can really get it through my head and the system that we're learning through. And through elementary school, it wasn't that hard until I got to junior high, and where it kind of got to the harder parts of school. And through junior high, I found a really amazing teacher. His name was Dave, and we were actually related. Everyone down in Southern Alberta is related somehow. And he really helped me on that one-on-one contact and tried to help me in any way I could, whether it was, you know, with English or, you know, all of those subjects. He had a different learning strategy for every subject. And that really helped me get through school without having really bad anxiety attacks or feeling sick and not wanting to go to school. And that's what I found here at Ameritech. I found a really great teacher, too, actually, Ben and Miss Julie, and they really taught everybody the way they needed to be taught. I'm getting emotional. And they really care about their students and want to see them, you know, be successful and get through schooling, not, you know, having a hard time. And there's one quote that really sticks out to me, and it's by Teddy Roosevelt, and it says, "The best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." And I think that's what we're all doing here, is we're working hard for work worth doing because we're helping people and making everybody better the way we can. And I just want to say congratulations to everybody who's on here today and who's graduating. And you all did great, and we made it. And yeah, that's it.
Welcome and good evening, faculty, family, and fellow graduates. I just want to start off by thanking my family because they have supported me with everything. But most importantly, my mom. She has always pushed me to be better and to achieve my goals and to support myself. She has taught me so many different things. My mom is one of the strongest ladies that I know. Thank you to everyone who is on this journey with me. At one point, we were all wondering how we are going to pay for college, especially during high school. Some of you were already working full-time. Some of you had a family to take care of you. And some of you just were busy with life. We are all determined to continue our education and to better ourselves. We all wanted to go out and help the community, and that's why we chose the medical field. When I started, I went with my sister-in-law, Krista, so she knew some of you guys. So you guys were pretty good friends. But when I started, I didn't know anyone besides Krista. We all started, and we all became pretty good friends. We were all in one class, and we made pretty good memories. From Ben always making fun of us to try to get us out of our comfort zone and to open up and have more fun, and to Julie always making us treats and to guessing everybody's gender baby that they were having. One time I was sitting in my car studying my terminology flashcards because we all know how that class was. So I was sitting there and sitting there just waiting for Krista to get out of class. But they all thought it was funny if Ben would sneak out of class and scare me while I was sitting there. So while I was just sitting there, he snuck outside. I didn't see him. Snuck up next to my window and smacked my window. I did jump a little bit. It did scare me, but he was shocked that I was actually studying, and I seen all the girls looking out the window, watching me, seeing if I was scared. But when I first started, I only started with 3 of us. Then later, we found out that we were going to be the last class that Ben and Julie would teach in Provo. So later on, it was just us 3 and Ben because Julie left on maternity leave. So we had a small class, and it was pretty fun. We became a lot closer, and we all got out of our comfort zone even more. And you know how Ben would always challenge us and make things a little more difficult. And that's what he did, and it was fun. But this is all a new beginning for every one of us, a new chapter in life. With that being said, how are you going to better yourself? How are you going to continue to learn? How are you going to react if something bad happens in the clinic or hospital? The way you react will build a character and make you stronger. We need to remain strong for those in need. As some of us start our externship or career, we really see how much we are needed, especially during this pandemic. This pandemic is going to change everything. I mean, we're sitting here doing a virtual graduation. We see more and more doctors doing the telemedicine and patients coming into the clinics and hospitals. We see how many people really do need us. Here's an example. Look at New York. They needed more help over there, so they were asking people to go volunteer over there. But we will always have a job, and we will always be there to help our community. Thanks.
Hello, Chris and Natalie, thank you. Thank you for sharing Mitchell's story with us today. I would like to introduce the OTA speakers. First, we will hear from Mackenzie Wilson. Mackenzie was an excellent student. She plans on starting her occupational therapy assistant career in Price, Utah. It's a small town in southeastern Utah, where in this small city, she will have the opportunity to work in a variety of practice areas, including the school district, the local hospital, in both inpatient and outpatient units, and in home health. When Mackenzie is not studying or traveling or at school, she can be found at various sporting events with her 2 stepsons and her 2 daughters, or camping with her family. After we hear from Mackenzie, we will hear from Christine Barrios. Christine had the privilege to teach this OTA class in their 2nd semester, where they created lasting memories in learning pediatric diagnoses, assessments, and interventions before she moved to Texas. Christine received her Master's of Occupational Therapy from the University of Utah in 2015. Her clinical background includes home health, skilled nursing, school-based, pediatric and adult outpatient, inpatient rehab, and acute care. She is a certified master teacher for Stepping on Fall Prevention program, and in 2014, she organized a group of students and professors to present at the Utah Radiology Technology Annual Conference on safe transfers for radiology professionals. She currently works full-time in inpatient rehab in a stroke and brain injury certification hospital in South Texas. Her favorite things include her husband and 2 toddlers, the beach, Trader Joe's, warm winters, patient care, and teaching occupational therapy assistant students. We will now hear from Mackenzie.
I just want to start out by saying thank you to my cohort, my teachers, family, and staff who have all made these past 2 years everything that they were. I'm honored to be able to address everyone today, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to graduation. Every one of you have made an impact on the graduates who sit here today, as well as those of you who couldn't attend today, whether they're at fieldwork or had other commitments. I want to start by introducing myself, my story on this wild ride, and how everyone in this cohort has shaped my path through this program. But before I start, I want to thank my family for their support, taking care of things at home while I was away, watching my kids, providing a house to crash at, and just everything to get through. My name is Mackenzie Wilson, and I live in Wellington. It's a small little town, kind of by Price, if anybody knows, with my husband and my 4 kids. My family and I lived in Cedar City, where I had attended college and had a great career in a cardiac rehab department. We thought we'd live there forever. Of course, life always throws you curveballs, and we decided to move to Wellington to be closer to family. Within moving, I had to decide what I was going to do for a job because there just wasn't much with my prior degree. After searching for options in the healthcare field, which is what I knew I wanted to do, my sister-in-law mentioned that CODAs were really in need in the area. I looked into it and really found that it was something that I was really interested in. My next thought, though, was where in the world am I going to go back to school? I had already called so many places looking at different nursing options that were either online or something that I could drive to, but they didn't have anything with occupational therapy, so I just Googled it. I knew it was too late to apply to anything like SLIC. It was July at this point, and so I called Ameritech. I couldn't believe how convenient and easy it was to get the ball rolling and apply. Next thing I knew, I was taking the TEAS test and getting a schedule for class. Everything fell into place so smoothly and worked out. I knew it was the right thing to do. Then reality hit that, holy cow, I am almost driving 2 hours one way for class. I was so grateful that the school let me transfer my anatomy and physiology credits, lighten my first semester load. But I will say, I know that is when a lot of you bonded and really started to get to know each other. I was always hearing how much everyone helped pull one another through with study groups and getting together at Connie's house to prepare for tests. And there I was driving with my 1-year-old to drop her off with my family in Mapleton and continue my drive up to I-15. That first semester, it was every Monday, stay the night Tuesday, and then go home. But it wasn't too bad. We were all just kind of getting to know each other, and it's called the forming stage of a group, I learned in school. So can't say I didn't learn anything. But I found out these people were going to be the ones that were going along with the journey that we were all about to embark into. The second semester was a lot of fun. Not only was it pediatrics with Christine, who everybody loved, but the course started to become more hands-on as well. I don't think anyone will forget our trip to the neighborhood house where we were all shocked by the tiny humans. Everyone had these great group interventions planned out just to be thwarted by these wild, crazy kids with the attention span 2 seconds long. I'll never forget the obstacle courses we made. My kids will still find that video on my phone and just laugh because they'll just watch us running through the lab down there. We really got into the diagnoses that children have as well this semester, and that class made me realize how amazing it is if a child is actually typical. It was sad to learn about some of the deficits these poor children have, but thankfully we were able to laugh during times like Natalie's spina bifida presentation. I only tease because we really did just have so much fun. We laughed and laughed. At that point, we had made it to the 3rd semester. This was a tough semester for me personally. Not only was it summer, it was the heaviest course load, and we had class Monday through Thursday. I felt like this semester was the semester that really brought us together even more. We were all going through a lot, but that is when we bonded, getting homework done in between classes, going to lunch together, and just studying. We had a lot of big group and individual projects during the summer, but we also had a lot of fun. We had a frequent visitor during labs named Old Man Jenkins. Although he was a difficult client, he brought a lot of real life situations to light, you can say. We did a lot of acting as well, while some being a little over dramatic throughout our group intervention sessions. They were sure to bring a good laugh. Heck, I even remember crying. I was laughing so hard at some points. I'll be honest, we did some goofing off as well with wheelchair races, handstand competitions, and discussions on the best way to cook a corn dog in a toaster. Needless to say, we were a pretty loud group as well. I don't know how much the testing center appreciated being next to us most of the time, but you can't fault us for making it an enjoyable experience. We also had the experience of going to Park City to tour the National Ability Center, which was amazing. The night before, a bunch of the girls rented a condo, which led to some lasting memories and a glimmer of being roommates. Although it was a sauna when we showed up, we didn't let that get in our way. We wandered the streets to sightsee, ended up filming a video contest with random people that just started, and we stayed up really late playing games. We laughed so hard and created so many fun memories, and relationships and friendships that I'll never forget. It wasn't always fun and games. It was a lot of hard work, but we found a way to endure the struggles and create some positives from the situation. Now we survived the most grueling summer semester. We moved on to what almost felt like the last semester, since we wouldn't be on campus after that. I remember in orientation, Lori and Michelle talking about how fast the program goes, and the students that were in their fourth semester couldn't believe it already. Well, I knew now what they were saying. What felt like a tunnel with no end in the beginning quickly turned into a realization that I was almost done. All the time we had been putting in with level 1 fieldworks and lectures were going to put to use before we knew it. We did some more acting as elderly clients this semester, along with Old Man Jenkins making a return, to definitely improve our group running skills. Those were always something to look forward to. We had a lot of fun in Lynn's class with the group building activities and playing games before lectures start. It was a good way to start our lectures for those days. For me personally, as the semester came to an end, it became surreal, but before I could completely finish, I had finals week to face. My first one of the week was going to be the toughest. It was on Monday morning at 10, so I left that morning at 6:45 so I'd have at least an hour to study before it started. When I got into the canyon, traffic seemed a lot slower than normal. I quickly learned that I was stuck behind some monstrous object being transported. My nervousness for the final quickly turned to panic that I wasn't ever going to make it there. The fastest I went for the next 2.5 hours before even getting out of the canyon was 25 miles. I really had service and didn't know what to do. I was trying to text the group and call professors to tell them what was going on, and I couldn't reach any of them. In all the snowstorms, bad weather, and traffic for the last 4 semesters, I hadn't been late maybe one other day, but here I was during finals week. I finally made it through the canyon to find I had been following a nuclear steam engine being transported by 10 plus vehicles, knowing I still had an hour to drive. Thankfully, I got a hold of my professor who was understanding, and I showed up at 10:15 to rush and start my final, which was completely the opposite of my plan. But I don't know if I would have made it without the support of my classmates. We were all so happy to be finished, but sad to realize we wouldn't be seeing each other on campus anymore. The next time we'd see each other was at graduation. But well, we can see how well that plan worked out, as we are now virtually present, with most trying to still finish up fieldwork. Little did I know that I'd be in a Walmart and sneeze and I'd have people turn to you and say, "Defend yourself." But that's where we're at now, and it wasn't everyone's plan to have their fieldwork postponed, but like I started the speech and what set me on this crazy journey in the first place, life throws you curveballs. And yes, I'm done with my fieldwork and ready to get back into the workforce, but I can't believe being in school is already over. During times it seems so slow, but looking back, it came and went so fast. I'm so grateful to have found this career field and can't wait to start making a difference in someone's life. I've always loved seeing the rehab process and the improvement someone can make, and now I get to be a part of that again in a whole different way. This field is amazing, and the options are endless in emerging practice areas as well as established areas of employment. We all get to be a part of that. It may not be in the time frame that we all thought, but we will get there, and I know this group will do some great things. To quote Nora Ephron, "Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead." I did have to sacrifice a lot of time, driving, gas, and time away from my family, but I don't tell you all this for pity. It's just to show you all how much I appreciated you helping me through this journey and the impact you had to keep me going. I know I wasn't the only person who had struggles and obstacles in my way going back to school. Everybody did. Everybody has their own story. And it wasn't just about me. It was about all of us and how we helped each other through the stage of in our dress rehearsal. We couldn't have done it without one another. And to finish, I will quote Natalie, and no, not about spina bifida. I think we win for the best cohort ever. Thank you.
Graduates of the class of 2020. My class of 2020. When I promised you I would be back for graduation, this is not quite what I had in mind, but it is truly an honor to be here to celebrate with you guys and to be part of these momentous graduation proceedings, to say the least. Maya Angelou said, "At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel." Knowing full well that at the end of this day, you won't remember anything I said today or during classes, which might be for the best, I want to share with you a few of the many ways that you have made me feel, that you make me feel. First, excited. I'm so excited to be here today. Congratulations, you made it, you did it. I'm so proud of you. Last year when we were saying our goodbyes at the end of the semester, it felt like this day was so far away and sometimes even unattainable. And yet here you are, you did it. And I'm excited because you are entering this profession in unprecedented times. As far as I know, none of us have survived a global pandemic before. But with that comes unique and unprecedented opportunities. And each of you are more than aptly suited to meet those challenges. And I'm excited to see you go out and meet those challenges head on and to create something truly unique and incredible in your individual practice and in your facilities where you work and in the profession as a whole. I'm also excited because you get a fresh start. This is a new chapter. It's unwritten. You get to write the entire future from here, and it's going to be amazing. Second, hope. I'm filled with hope that you're going to change what needs to be changed, that you're going to champion what needs to be championed. Hope for a more occupation-based profession. Hope that you'll go out and ask, why does it have to be this way? Hope that you will take advantage of lifelong learning and continuing education and professional development opportunities so that you can take the amazing professionals you are now and continue to grow and develop and become even more amazing throughout your career. And hope borrowed from those whose lives you will change forever in ways that are incalculable, immeasurable, and oftentimes indescribable. And finally, I am inspired. I am full to the brim with inspiration for the students you have been and the clinicians you have become. I am inspired by your courage, your dedication, your clinical judgment, your kindness, and your compassion. I am inspired to dig deeper, to plan better, to document more thoroughly, to be more fully present in each session with each client. I'm inspired to be better and to do better for you and because of you. You are no longer my student. It is my honor to call you my colleague, my friend. Welcome to the amazing world of OT.
Thank you, Christine. Back at you. You know, you're talking to the group, but your message would be what we'd want to say to you. You did it too. Thank you so much. Mackenzie, the long drive from Cedar City, it was worth it. I promise you. Thank you for sticking it out. I know it's a long drive down I-15, but you did it. Kira, you know how to learn. You said it was hard for you to learn in high school. You know how to learn. You're a college graduate today. And JC, you achieved another one of your goals. Way to go. We are proud of you. Well, we're that part of the program where Michelle will read names and also Ben will read names, graduate names. And so let's proceed to that point. Michelle and Ben, please.
The Occupational Therapy Assistant class, Associates of Science degree. Mackenzie Ballantyne. Connie Carr. Alyssa M. Coral. Michelle N. Fenton. Connor D. Fulton. Jennifer Garcia. Debbie Gines. Bryn Hamblin. Ty Liston. Natalie Nielsen. Casey N. Robbenheimer, Kyle B. Schuler, Landon Stewart, Camille R. Terry, Mackenzie M. Wilson.
Now for the Medical Assisting Diploma Program. Kiara Abetua, Kira Brown, Bailey Friedel, JC Gill, Melanie Rivera, Yvonne Hernandez, Evelyn Jimenez, Malia Laypath, Carla Montiel, Riley Motley, Jana Osteen, Krista Rogers, Alicia Stewart, Christina Trejo, Alexia Vargas Ayon. Congratulations.
All right, congratulations. If we could reach out and give you a virtual round of applause, we would do that. You're just going to have to imagine it in our virtual world. So shall we make it official? Let's make it official. Conferral of degrees. A couple of points. By the middle of next week, you'll be able to see this entire ceremony. It'll be posted on the Ameritech YouTube channel, so look for that. As we conclude, after I officially confer your degrees, I would like to count 1, 2, 3, and on the count of 3, you unmute your mic, and that is the point at which we go hats off to your family. So you can take your hats off and we can hoot and holler and do what we need to do. So I'll have you move your tassel from right to left, but then I will count 1, 2, 3, mute, unmute, and then it's hats off to your family and friends that are there with you now. So officially, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the faculty and administrators of Ameritech College of Healthcare and the state of Utah, I wish to extend my congratulations on completing the requirements for the degree awarded to you this day. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree that you have earned with all the rights, honors, privileges, and obligation inherent therein. You may now move your tassels from right to left, signifying the completion of your studies and the transition from your academic experience to your professional career. On the count of 3. 1.
Ready? Ready? Go.
3.